It looks like they're supposedly going. Hello, hello. Two people said hi, but they said hi before I got here. I hope I'm live and that audio is appropriate. I can rebalance things pretty quickly if they are not. Also, first tournament for the Simone, whoever this is. Let's see. We have 44 registration. Got just a couple people with a teamless submit and not checked in. Got one person checked in, no team list. Everybody who signed up relatively recently looks like they're set. I mean, it looks good. I'm not really sure what else to say. So they're just getting ready to ping when round one goes up. Nice, that one person got their team list in. I feel like the people who signed up yesterday and have the team list in and not checked in, I'm concerned might just not make it. I recognize one of the names of the players who has a team list submit and is not in, so I'm hoping they get here. Yeah. Murph the Gangster, that is crazy. Yeah, it's been more than a little while. How are you doing? I feel like it's been several years. You would never believe, I finally beaten the White 2 Nuzlocke. And I have that video like mostly made, but it still might be a couple, I don't want to say a couple months, but I don't know when I have any time to finish working on it. But yeah, I'm streaming for one of my friends who normally streams this tournament. They're just out, or I don't know what they're exactly up to, but they're not able to tonight, and so I'm hopping in. Yeah, exactly. After 2 years, just stop showing up. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that would be fair. One of the guys just said that. Cool, they did it in time. That is awesome. Gonna give it just one moment to see if Cycram will check in. The Cold J just did. I think when it hits 31, I'm just going to run it. What's up, Izzy? I'm just waiting till 31. It hit 31. I was kind of waiting for Cycram to check in, but I'm just gonna run it. Round 1 is live. Somebody got it by random number generator. I think this is what Parker normally does to figure out who's watching. 12. Oh, and Kurt the Buzzwole. I know this guy. At least by Discord name. could have just breathed it into the knife. Oh wait, I was watching, or I saw a little bit of what was going on in VC Gamers. You won that tournament? You're such a goat. I can only imagine, Izzy. But that's crazy. You're awesome. And that's good. Hell yeah, Murph. University of Toronto is fun. I've only been to Toronto once. I went to the regional this past year. And they didn't announce any for this next season, but I struggle to believe there won't be any. I feel like it's been a consistent couple. But I don't know. It was fun. I like Toronto a lot. You don't need sleep. You're too dialed. Those two get in. I will join. Dude, I have 3 monitors and it low-key doesn't feel like enough, which like probably sounds insane, but I'm trying to keep the stream up and chat up and admin dashboard up and the game when it goes live and Discord, because sometimes people ping stuff in there. But Discord's probably the one that I might just cover completely in a minute. Actually, I need to text. Buddy. No! I should have pinged Cycram. I was specifically waiting for them to check in. I actually just straight up should have pinged them. That's so sad. And they're battling. Let's get in here. Oh, join queue. That wasn't the button I meant to press. Spectate. What's the stream link? What a great question. I don't even see the game. Okay, so I didn't see team preview, but I'm gonna start with Pokemon Pengu's team with this Glamora. Is this Mega Glamora? I can look at this. Yes, it is Mega Glamora. Choice Scarf, Dragonite. So it's, oh no, and Staraptor, so Mega Staraptor. Black Glasses, King Gambit. Life Orb, Dengo. Nasty Plot, Power Gem, Make It Rain, Protect. Whimsicott has Charm, and Bless, Protect, Tail, and Charm for the Staraptor. And then Crit to Buzzwole, Citrus Berry, Melodic, as we just saw. Corviknight has Tailwind, Ironhead, Bravebird, and Life Orb. Yeah, getting their own speed control back with this Icy Wind and Tailwind is really nice. Mega Garchomp. Oh, the special Mega Garchomp with Sand. I've been seeing some chatter about that, but I haven't been that locked into what specifically has been happening with meta stuff recently. I haven't been playing that much. That is a very cool adaptation. I hate to admit, I didn't see what the Glamora did, but based on the Melodic eating a Citrus Berry, I have to imagine a deck there. See that Protect and that Iron Head. I would imagine, yeah, that takes out that Mega Glamora. Getting that speed control back is really nice, and that Whimsicott would love to be able to slow down physical attackers with Charm, but unfortunately, Corviknight is not going to be affected by that with the Mirror Armor. So this looks like a pretty nice spot for Garchomp right now. Or for Kurt the Buzzwool. I read Cyclone talk about the Mega Garchomp, and I just said Garchomp. That's awesome. Oh, from a Victory Road tournament, though. That is very cool. Like I said, I've been seeing some chatter just in like Discords I'm in, but I've not been that locked in. I'm literally not even in Master Ball this season. Like, I've not been playing that much, which is crazy. Iron Head into that Whimsicott, and this Corviknight is looking like it is going completely insane. Even though I think the two Pokemon on the field right now for Kurt are not phenomenal at taking down this Kingambit, I think they've done enough damage for the Pokemon in the back, which I have to imagine there's at least a Garchomp or a Ceruledge to be able to do some work into this Garchomp. Or Kingambit. Oh man, we gotta lock in. I do think Discord's gonna be covered up. We're gonna turn the remote off so I don't get that many pings. And if somebody pings me for tournament thing, I want to see it. Protect on Corviknight. Oh, really nice getting that Sucker Punch. That's not going to pick up the Melodic. That's not even two-shotting from that spot. Just going for a potential burn, going for some chip. Getting the burn is really, really unfortunate for that Kingambit. This is a Scarf Dragonite, which is of note. The Dragon Claw is definitely not going to do a lot to this Corviknight. I would imagine Sucker Punch plus Dragon Claw would still KO Corviknight from this range, but we will see for sure. No matter what, I would definitely much prefer to be in Kurt's spot right now. Going for another Sucker Punch. That might have been Melodic, or did... Oh, we just went for the Tailwind. Yep, so we protected into Tailwind to retain our speed control. Really nice plays from Kurt's side right now. Tyranitar took a little bit more than I would have expected from that Dragon Claw, just to be honest, but it is still going to outspeed this Kingambit, and it resists the Sucker Punch, outspeeding it. I'd imagine... I can look at what the moves are, but it does have that low kick. Yeah, they're just going to take out that Kingambit, make it a 1v4, and I really struggle to imagine this Choice Scarf Dragonite reversing. So very likely going to be Kurt for this game one. Very curious to see how Pokemon Pengu wants to adapt here, because the Corviknight on Kurt's side gave him a lot of issues, and I don't think you have like a perfect answer for Corviknight over on Pengu's side, but I think you are able to play differently even just with the 4 that you brought. We definitely saw Pengu try to target down that Melodic early, which still never ended up falling. So potentially if we try to target down the Corviknight earlier, it could be a different game. Oh yeah, I heard about the Watchog too. Actually, I can't lie, I didn't hear about the Watchog. Well, I mean I heard about it, but all I did was I saw, oh, and that low kick. Is this a Scarf T-Tar? Why are we locking into low kick again? It is a Choice Scarf T-Tar, makes sense. And Garchomp being able to finish up that last KO. No, I saw the JoeUX9 YouTube short about Watchog, and he basically called it just like a dead slot. I mean, I'm simplifying, but that is still very funny that Watchog just every once in a while in some of these decent sized tournaments just like shows up, and like I imagine there must be a matchup you like bring it and like just press Hypnosis or something, but I don't entirely disagree with it. Like, it might just be there to be there on a team that you just like have 5 for, but it's also like a crazy Charizard Y team with Ancient Power and Focus Blast on it. So I don't know, but obviously they did very well. Oh, I missed Murph's last message. Murph's an OG. I tried streaming consistently a while back, and they were always around. That was insane that they showed up again. But yeah, nice lurking. That's very fun. Oh, same guy as GCF. That makes sense. Team existed to farm Y teams. Yeah, I mean with the ancient power. Oh, I gotta go back in. Interesting. With the ancient power, I mean, I can see that. And then, like, yeah, Focus Blast for King Gambits and stuff. Focus Blast, I attribute that move to Parker now after he day 2'd with it at Toronto. I don't know. I specifically took the move off of that team when I used that team myself in Houston. I can respect it, obviously. It gives you an answer to fighting type on Pokemon you might not otherwise have an answer for it to. It was Crown on that team, like Charizard Y here. But man, I mean, you know, I also collect Hydro Pump on my Kyogre at Orlando. So, you know, I do understand just having that inaccurate move as an option you sometimes have to click. But I really would like to avoid doing so if at all possible. But we do see the mix-up here. We do decide to go with that Staraptor on Pengu's side, hoping that will do a little bit better into this Corviknight with the close combats, with the Charm on the Whimsicott being able to get some actual use in this matchup, since it obviously, you know, as I've already talked about, can't be used on the Corviknight to slow it down. And with the Garchomp switch out, that does give the Staraptor some more room to press his close combat and start getting some of these defense boosts. And it just one-shots. The +2 close combat one-shots what is probably an offensive Corviknight with that Life Orb. As long as this doesn't burn, we are in a much... Oh no. One, I was expecting that to crit almost with how much that did at +1 Spit F. And then two, getting the burn hurts. I mean, you're like back to neutral on attack in that you're +2, but then the attack is halved. But you would love to just be at +2 and like hit at +2 levels. This Garchomp on the field, Mega Evolving, I would say it is still pretty vulnerable to getting Moonblasted and close combated. Okay, it does just go for the Protect, which is fair. Yeah, it looks like Pengu probably saw the same thing. Yep. It's kind of tough there, because if you don't attack into... Oh wow, the Melodic has Haze. Okay, that Staraptor is feeling pretty bad now, cannot lie. But yeah, it's a tough call. I don't know exactly if it's a call or if there's a more optimal line through. Kind of hard for me to figure out in the moment. But if the Garchomp protects, obviously you've now wasted the turn. But if it doesn't protect and you don't attack it, it has the ability to do a lot more damage than you might like from Pengu's side. So, just kind of tough. Opting to protect this Staraptor, hoping to probably eat a Scald or the Power Gem from this Garchomp itself as we set up Tailwind. Icy Wind notably would increase this Staraptor's speed, but had Tailwind not gone up, it would have allowed Garchomp to be outspeeding this Whimsicott. I would imagine Whimsicott still outspeeding the Garchomp with Tailwind up, but we shall see. Not swinging on the Garchomp that turn you had the option available does mean it can protect again. And this Melodic is able to keep just spamming these Icy Winds or Scalds or whatever it so chooses to do. So we're saying we don't care about the burn. We're trying to get that attack up. We're functionally hitting at, if we were just +1 attack, do just over 50%. Which isn't horrible. It would be a 2-shot, save for that Citrus Berry. But that is a very big... Oh, actually I forgot about the Haze. You back to like neutral. He was not at +4. The Haze is also trying to pair with that Draco Meteor to remove that -2, which was a very heads-up play. Unfortunately for Kurt, that Draco does miss, which, you know, feels phenomenal for Pengu, obviously. And yeah, puts us in whatever board we want to call this. The roost on the Raptor is pretty notable. Obviously does not have any of the defense boosts now that we have been hazed twice. Power jump goes off. It is neutral. Sorry for that 54%. This is a much different game than our game one. Pengu has been able to KO the Corviknight, almost KO this Garchomp, and at least get this Melodic to burn its Citrus Berry, all without having to switch his Pokemon. So he still has 2 more full health Pokemon in the back that are unrevealed. I think it's safe to assume it's not the Glamora, although, frankly, you're definitely allowed to bring base Glamora without an item, even if you're going to do Mega Staraptor. But any combination of the Kingambit, Golden Goat, and Dragonite do look really good to come in and finish a game here. Further thinking. You see the Melodic switch into the Tyranitar. So this chip damage is going to, or like from the sand, is going to start putting a little bit more of a timer on the Staraptor as it takes burn and sand damage every turn. But it does switch into a close combat that even with the burn, it does not live. This is looking very nice for Pengu at the moment. Power Gem puts Whimsicott at 1%, but notably that sand will finally remove it from the field. If this is Kingambit though, you are able to just keep spamming Sucker Punch into the very chipped Garchomp. And even with the burn, between Close Combat and Ruse, like Staraptor probably functionally 1v1s this Melodic. Trying to find an out for Kurt. Yeah, but we're also just outspeeding this Garchomp. But you're more vulnerable to Icy Wind and protect stuff this way. So I don't know what that other Pokemon. I was kind of assuming maybe Kingambit. But again, it really could be Glamora or Golden Go here. Regardless, this is an interesting spot. I don't want to say Kurt is completely out of it, but I think there's a world where if we're double targeting into a Garchomp, on a Garchomp Protect, Melodic can start to potentially get enough damage off with Icy Wind not doing a ton to the Staraptor, but with the burn and the sand, the little bit of super effective chip is real. I'm not going to do that much through multi-scale to Dragonite, but lowering its speed is going to be really nice. That close combat is probably too much damage. You do see the Icy Wind. I don't know. I don't want to say Kurt is 100% lost from this position. But that's only if this Garchomp survives the close combat from the Staraptor, which I'm kind of struggling to imagine. This Dragonite has Trace Scarf, but is -1 speed. Okay, yeah, no, definitely gonna be Pengu's game here though. This is a very nice set so far. I'm very happy with this as the first one I get to watch. With that Corviknight just going completely crazy in game 1 into just getting one shot by Pengu game 2. Very interested to see how Kurt now readapts to what Pengu brought this game and who's eventually going to take this set. It will take just a moment longer for this game to end as Melodic just lives with Sandstorm chip at 1%, but there's not much for Melodic to do. 2 turns of Sandstorm, so it's still going to take the Sandstorm chip even if it protects. It can be very smart here on Kurt's side to take all this time, max out this turn, and continue thinking about what you want to do for next game with all the time you have available. But otherwise, this game is pretty done and dusted. I gotta like habitually mess with the joysticks here. Otherwise, I get too into watching the game and then it just eventually goes to sleep. What's up, Parker? The new setup is looking nice. I'm the man for hosting, of course. This is fun. I mean, we'll see if I still think it's fun in another like 2 hours or so, but no, it'll be good. This is actually such a banger first set to be watching. Yeah, I'm very happy with this new setup. Moved in like a month ago. Very nice room. It's like 80 to 90% set up. I can't lie, like the two segments of the bookshelf that are actually showing are not organized at all. Yeah, the bottom one is the most egregious. And the second one just has some like random decorations, but they should go in like a better area. I don't think you can even much see them, but the bottom one is straight up just a lot of papers and notebooks and stuff, and then my DS stuff on the right side. But overall, yeah, the room is fun. Okay, big adjustment from Pengu here. Get Whimsicott and King Gambit lead this time into the tried and true Melodic Corviknight from Game 1 from Kurt. I do think that Garchomp lead in Game 2 was an interesting idea, but then not switching in the Tyranitar immediately for extra damage, and in fact switching out the Garchomp definitely had given that Staraptor a lot of time to kind of do what it wanted to do. The Scald Burn wasn't even enough to properly slow down that beast last game. But we actually don't match speed off the go, which is not inherently a bad thing. It very well, in this board state, can give Kurt the room to press Tailwind on this next turn, and maybe even the turn after, and try and get those separated so that Kurt can actually, at the end of Pengu's Tailwind, have their own proper speed control, especially with... Yeah, I would not be too surprised to see Corv try to go for a Tailwind the turn after this Protect and just disjoint these two Tailwinds, especially if this Melodic is able to actually pick up the Whimsicott. Okay, this turn I think is still fair. I think it's not, like, Whimsicott's not putting that much offensive pressure onto the board state, so giving it a switch into something that might have a lot more offensive pressure could lead to a more awkward turn this turn. We do know Staraptor's Close Combat will do at least 50%. Oh! Wait. I wasn't thinking about this base Staraptor ability. It'll do at least 33% to the Corviknight. This Melodic has +2 special attack now, and we are in a very interesting board state. And you know what? I forgot about this +2 in last game when I was surprised how much the Scald initially did to the Staraptor. That makes sense to me in hindsight now. I definitely missed that at the beginning of the last game. But we see this Mega Staraptor, obviously not wanting to keep the Intimidate if it had to switch out for any reason. Sucker Punch into Melodic. Okay, that was a crit. And Close Combat. Okay, so this Melodic, ooh, does not quite fall. It has been a bit of a nuisance getting multiple really key burns. So trying to get rid of that before it can do anything. Yeah, it does a lot at +2. +2 and burn again. Holy. This Melodic has been a complete MVP for Kurt in this set. Just burning Yeah. Oh, and Pengu's typing, go to Vegas, please. Like, yeah. I think Pengu's very much still in this game, but the burns from this melodic have been crazy. As we saw in game 2, the burn was not enough to slow down the Staraptor completely, so I would not count themselves out too early, but definitely not ideal. We are able to switch, get rid of that -1 attack from that mirror armor on Intimidate, and let's see what happens here. Protect on Melodic. 4 uses Brave Bird, not going to do too much through that multi-scale. Still does a decent chunk, but I don't think that's quite going to KO. I think it would have to do over 66% or over 33% to be like a guaranteed KO that turn after. Opposing side Tailwind petered out, so this is what I was talking about at the beginning, where now Kurt does have speed control. Even though this is a Scarfed Dragonite, there's a chance, depending on how Melodic is trained, that it can just outspeed. But Pengu does still have the King Gambit with Sucker Punch. I was thinking about it going into that slot, so that could be a nice switch for Kurt. Oh, and does still have the extreme speed. So yeah, we're going to ignore the fact that Kurt has Tailwind by just pressing our priority moves, which is extremely valid. So Sucker Punch does fail. That definitely was going to be into that Core of Night slot, which makes just a ton of sense. Now we are in a very tough spot for this turn still, because this is a Scarf T-Tar. We are locked into E-Speed on Dragonite. We have Protect on King Gambit. Like, you kind of want to... Yeah, I like that switch. I figured Staraptor had to come into one of those 2 slots this turn. I think you don't want to be locked into extreme speed. You really would like to get into Dragon Claw at this point. It'll definitely pick up that Corviknight since it's only at 11%. Our Rock Slide. It's neutral into Staraptor, but Staraptor is still chunked. Plus Sandstorm if Garchomp did anything to Staraptor, but it did not. Oh, Staraptor living at 1% HP. I'm not 100% sure if we would have liked the free switch back into Dragonite or if we're happy with that. 2 options here are to close combat into this Tyranitar. It is Scarfed, but I'm not sure what these speed tiers look like. So Staraptor avoids that Rock Slide. Tyranitar was the fastest thing in the field. Staraptor, Roost. Yeah, I was like, it was either Roosting to get HP back, or it was just a close combat into the T-Tar. Garchomp does Earthquake into that King Gambit, does one-shot it with Sand Force. But we get this Dragonite back in. I'm gonna double check real quick, but based on the damage I've been seeing, that has to be Adamant. No, it is Jolly. Man, I don't know, I underestimated Dragonite's damage. I felt like it was doing a ton. It could be max attack Jolly, but still. I really was kind of internally convinced that thing was going to be Adamant. It is a full health Garchomp. I have no idea about this roll if Dragon Claw kills. I would lean toward Dragon Claw not one-shotting Garchomp, but I don't know if you have a better... You do have a better option. I don't know what I'm talking about. But it still doesn't one-shot. You leave Garchomp at 10% HP. A miss? Another miss? Staraptor is dodging, ducking, and weaving these Rock Slides. It does KO Dragonite. Is this a close combat? Into the Tyranitar. Does one-shot it. But we do have Sand Force. But it's at with +1 special defense. These Rock Slide misses have made this endgame very interesting. If we somehow live this... No, not quite. Man, that was a very interesting set. That was a very, very close game. Dang. I don't think either player can be upset with that. Obviously, I think Pengu can maybe talk about the burns, but like I said, they still won that game through the burn. So that was a very, very fun set for me to watch. I cannot lie. That was a great one. Yeah, no, they had RNG go both ways that game with like Rockslide missing and whatnot. Overall, I think it was just a very well played game between the two players. I'm kind of waiting for one of them to report the games, but I'm just gonna press the buttons. Kurt, Pengu, Kurt. And then we got one more game. Liam versus Darksea. I reported game 2 win 8 minutes ago. I think very likely could be just at the very end of game 3, but we're just gonna check in and see real quick. And no, we are not, because the clock passed 8 p.m. You want to meet a new lineup? I haven't gotten a single shiny from here. I see so many people posting shinies from here, and I want one so bad. Either me or my girlfriend had gotten a shiny from here. Like, I feel like that's like double the odds. I think I have all these in all forms. Blah. Actually, definitely golden though. The golden goes a pain to get in whatever game it's ever in. Yeah, this is like the difference between the RNG I'm seeing is, Kurt, you're not even the first person I know that has gotten multiple shinies from the recruit. But then I haven't, and like Cycrim hasn't. I don't know. I mean, I know the odds are like the same they always are, but because there isn't like, you know, any proper like shiny hunting or whatever, like it's just truly whatever you get from the recruit, and there's only so many, even with like spamming all the tickets you can. It's very funny how wide some of these margins are already. But I know it all evens out. I don't think the stats are crazy. I just want my shiny. What do we have going on here? We have all Pokemon revealed on left side. We got this Incineroar and Melodic in the back now. Mega Arrow, just a little bit of damage taken. Switching back out now, next to the Hydreigon. Incin is a great switch in front of a Charizard and Incineroar. We also see both Pokemon on Chanel's side. The Venusaur and Garchomp in the back. Snarl to continue to reduce his Charizard's damage. If it's a standard Charizard set, it really doesn't have that great a way to hit this Hydreigon. And honestly, like a quarter is kind of respectable at -1, but definitely not a ton of damage. You're overall happy with this on this side. But the parting shot from Chanel's Incineroar does let the repositioning occur. Let's see. That is a Choice Scarf Garchomp, so it is now able to threaten the Hydreigon with a Dragon Claw. Although it also has to contend with getting fake outed by the Incin that just came in this turn. So I'm not 100% sure this is actually a safe spot for that Garchomp to be in. You switch out the Charizard. I should take note of how many Sun turns are left. But yeah, I'd imagine this Garchomp dies to a Draco. Probably it dies to a Dragon Pulse if we have it. But we opt to just go for the Snarl. Like Garchomp actually avoids that. Oh, nope. Hydreigon is also Choice Scarf. We do not have the ability to switch that move up. Missing Garchomp is some unfortunate chip that we missed, but the Venusaur does not love having its special attack reduced like that. Oh, and it's the Life Orb with Sludge Bomb, Solar Beam, Earth Power. It really, really does not like getting its special attack dropped. It doesn't even have that Sleep Powder option to just continue to be disruptive. But with that Life Orb and with the damage taken, it is certainly still threatening Incineroar with Earth Power. We do have to switch into Aerodactyl as an option. Garchomp is threatening Hydreigon with Dragon Claw now. But we also, again, have that switch into Melodic as an option. We see the switch out from Chanel. See the switch out from Liz. Looks like Hydreigon is going to be staying on the field. Oh, with a Dragon Claw into the Aerodactyl slot. What's up, Pengu? You say you got fried. That was a great set. I genuinely enjoyed watching that set a ton. I think the adaptations on both sides going to game 2 and 3 were pretty smart. Obviously, I think the burns on the Mega Staraptor was crazy, but you still won through it in game 2, and it was still a very, very close game 3. I think sometimes it can be tough to retain your head when you feel like so much RNG is going against you. It's something that, I mean, I felt myself. I'm not going to say I'm immune to it, but I've definitely noticed a lot more in players recently. But maybe I've just been like more aware of it recently. But yeah, retaining your head and just playing the board state as is. Like, game 3 was still a very playable spot, even with that burn. Although the burn was definitely annoying. But yeah, no, Special Garchomp has been picking up a little bit. I mean, it is the highest attack stat, but you're stuck with like Dragon Claw or Outrage. Like Stomping Tantrum is lower base power than Earth Power. Sand Force still gives it like a decent boost in Sand, obviously. Earth Power gives it away to one-shot Kingambit. It has access to Power Gem, which is 100% consistent instead of the Rock Slide. It was from some Victory Road tournament. It is obviously a little strange because it is the highest attack stat in the game, but you're able to use the Mega especially in a way you're not able to use Base especially very consistently. I definitely see the thought process behind it. I mean, Gamora is great. Yeah, Melodic had some issues. I like that actually. Mega Heracross. They like took away that guy's like whole moveset, didn't they? Yeah, the Melodic. The Citrus first leftover on Melodic is like very interesting. But we saw it be very relevant in the double up. What was the double up? It was something Staraptor. Tried to double up in the Melodic and kill it, and it lived at like 11%. So that's like one of the big benefits of the Citrus Berry. Yeah, Mega Garchomp for sure. Bulky. Like Hydreigon's like a good special attacking dragon type, but you are right. Besides that, it gets pretty thin. I like really paying 100% attention to this game. But this Hydreigon and Aerodactyl have now died to this Scarf Garchomp. We are unfortunately reduced to pressing Muddy Water, getting a double accuracy drop. And the only reason I say unfortunate about pressing Muddy Water is we do still have a Charizard that's able to come back in. Yeah, I didn't retain being fully locked in on this game when Pengu and Spectrum started talking about the last game, but it does look like Chanel is going to be able to clean this up from here. There's Mega D-Knight, but there's also, no, I mean, special attacking dragon types, yes, but almost even bigger is special attacking ground types. Like, the ability to hit Archaludon and Kingambit super effective on the special side is very difficult because it's like fighting and ground, which are normally like very physical types offensively. And so like Mega Camera, like that's definitely part of why it has a niche over like a Torkoal on Trick Room teams is for a special ground type. And definitely... Oh, there was a side parting shot into competitive. Yeah, learning some interactions there. Yeah, Zard Y Rain being good is definitely a crazy meta development, no doubt. Yeah, like, yeah, exactly. It's Camerupt and nothing else for special attacking ground types. Like, I don't want to say we want Lando Eye, but that's also a great example of when any special attacking ground type is remotely viable, it's usable. Yeah, man, I do miss Nidoking. This would be a great format for it. But, yeah, special attacking ground types are pretty rare and pretty valuable. You like to hit, Kingambits or Chaladons, Incineroars, a bunch of these guys on the special side if you can. Cool. So all 20 matches round 1 completed. No issues. We are going to end this round and pair next round. Oh no, what's the odds I'm on stream again? Probably not, unfortunately, because I think we're going to try to... Try to hit different people. Okay, we pink round 2 is up. We have 17. We're gonna random number. We got 16. It's Florida versus Derpachu. So a ton of people just said something. Oh yeah, no, Mega Garchomp Z losing ground type is crazy. That would be a phenomenal special ground type attacker, obviously. Like, it probably will still run Earth Power. It's just crazy it doesn't even have... Wait, Izzy, that was a hot take. That Ursa Blood Moon would be bailouts in this format. Like, I get we still have, like, Incineroar and Kingambit and stuff, but I don't want that thing. Like, I don't want that thing in here at all. I don't know what cursed vibe you're trying to bring to champions having Blood Moon back already. Keep that thing away. FOZ does look interesting. For sharpness would be interesting. Yeah, I mean, I kind of get wanting more non-Megamons in ZA, but they oftentimes will release, or wait to release, I should say, more not like alternate form Pokemon until like the proper mainline game, which is weird that they call Legends games mainline still, but that's like a separate conversation. Let's hop in. They're probably selecting their teams right now. Also, nobody said anything, so I have to assume the audio balancing between my voice and the game's at least, like, okay. Like, I don't think it's that bad, but when I've been recording my draft games, like, my audio's honestly been so scuffed, and then I've just been recording it in the wrong channels to even fix it appropriately, which is, like, I had to figure it out at one point, and then I didn't record anything for, like, 6 months, and I, like, forgot how to do it entirely. It was crazy. Derpachu versus Florida Eye for James. Voice is a bit softer. Would you say that's a turn the game slightly down or turn the voice slightly up moment? No, I agree. I would love for MC to have more non-megas added. MB like wasn't disappointing in that I'm like overall glad they didn't have a huge meta shift going into being the only world's meta, but they definitely could have introduced just a couple more Pokemon. Felt like it didn't change a lot, which again for world's sake is fine, but definitely could have been different. Okay, gonna turn that mic up just a hair. I don't want to spend infinite time on the audio. Seems like it's been mostly fine, but I turned the voice up. Did I? Oh no, I didn't. Okay, now I've turned the voice up just slightly. Hopefully that is a little bit better. Anyway, into this game, we have the Sash Glamora next to a Mega Staraptor this time, also paired with a Mega Delphox. I do like seeing the Staraptor teams having an alternate Mega that is like a more hyper offensive one, so they're not stuck to always playing that Mega Staraptor mode. And then on the other side, we have Mega Tyranitar and Mega Charizard, but it's not the one we're often expecting. It's this Mega Charizard X with Dragon Dance, Breaking Swipe, and Flare Blitz. So this could be very interesting. The Melodic and White Herb Sneeze are on that team, also trying to protect them from Intimidate. Fake out into this Whimsicott. We set up the Dragon Dance. This Whimsicott doesn't have Encore to, potentially keep that dancing forever. But that Glamora does have a Power Gem, just one-shot Charizard. Yeah, no, relatively inconsequential stuff. The Persian Berserker Wigglytuff would definitely be fun. It would help with our draft league. Like, we were running into an issue of, like, tiering everything without all the not fully evolved. It was so awkward compared to the last drafts. Oh, and also, I need to make an announcement for week 4. Anyway, I'll get there. This Whimsicott doesn't have Protect, so it's a pretty free fake out. Have Charm and Light Screen, and Tailwind and Moonblast, pretty typical there. Wow, yeah, Moonblast Power Gem just going to outspeed without that Tailwind and KO the Incineroar. So James has put on a lot of pressure here. Melodic is definitely a Pokemon that... Okay, Streamlock is saying that if you're on stream, Melodic is burning with Scald. This is crazy. Melodic, Sinistra, depending on what they have, are Pokemon that could potentially completely reverse this. Yeah, Recover on Melodic, and Life Steal on Sinistra, plus Machagacha. It's definitely not over for Derpachu, but James has put on a lot of pressure early. And yeah, the Ice Soup picks in draft were getting pretty funny. I think Final Gambit and Draft should just be like one of the rare instances where there's a KO without a corresponding, or a death without a corresponding KO. Final Gambit. How should Final Gambit work? Anyway. Ooh, this Melodic is at +2, which will continue to help it trying to reverse sweep here. So the Staraptor might be able to take this Sinistra out, but Melodic, I've seen Melodic do some crazy things. This is definitely not over for Derpachu. Kava Berry, it might live this, it might not. Yeah. Yeah, they're already pretty chunked. I wasn't sure if it would do, like, if it might just live on 1 or 2%. The skull does a ton. No burn this time, but it just does a ton. The charm. Would have really loved to have seen that burn last turn, but it's still okay. For some reason, I thought Melodic would live that, but maybe I'm just not familiar with Staraptor's game. I mean, I didn't think it'd live it on a lot, but I didn't think that was just going to be a straight one-shot. Very, very decisive game from James, but we saw Melodic can do a lot of work, so I'm very interested to see how Derpachu might adjust in this game. Judgment Call and Final Gambit. Do I just agree with David, or is it a rare instance with KO with no, or definitely KO? I mean, because no KO is like not inherently like an issue. I want to say it's happened in another game. Oh, I'm not going to do this spreadsheet that quickly. I want them to get those stats up. Yeah, we're gonna call it one trade. Yeah, I want to respond to weapon pull stuff, the mental VGC, because it is tough. We do see the Staraptor straight up led for James in this game too, instead of the Glamora being super hyper aggressive. But it looks like the Staraptor was a pretty good adaptation, getting a -1 on this Tyranitar, and you know, yes, it activates the White Herb on the Sneasler, but overall, I'd still say you like to see your Staraptor in front of the Sneasler. Go for the Tailwind. Think Sneasler's still at speed? No, it doesn't! Wow, calling out the not going for Fake Out and just one-shotting the Sneasler. And then you have that -1 attack on the Tyranitar, and again, James, I think, has found themselves in a very nice position. Oh, there's one open match issue. Busy! Not sure. Is it team sheet? Wait. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, Melodic gets one shot again. Oh no! Oh no, Derpachu! Oh, don't tell me you're sorry mid-set. That's low-key BM. Yeah, this is definitely, I would say, looking extremely rough for Derpachu at this point. As long as you don't play too hyper-aggressive from James's side with Ruth, I'd say it's pretty over. Yeah, Star after Whimper. Star after Whimper. Wow. I mean, I know it might look slow and like potentially BM, but I think you definitely are meant to press Roost on the Star after this turn because Tyranitar can just go for Protect. Unless it doesn't have Protect. It does. Again, I don't think it really changes that much at this point, but I think you're like technically supposed to Protect on T-Tar and like force the Roost out of Staraptor. Maybe, I don't even know. Yeah, again, I really don't think it much mattered. Unfortunately, it was a great adaptation from James in Game 2 to just lead that Staraptor as well, and it just, you know, it did its thing. Staraptor did exactly what Staraptor would love to do. Oh wait, just... add him in. Wait, she cleared the judge request. What is happening here? Add him in. They cleared the judge request, but I'm still in this. I might just hop into this set as well. I think they're busy figuring out an interaction from game 1. I mean, Izzy already said that it's a possibility that she might have just misremembered that having a turn of Tailwind left, but Izzy is a phenomenal player. Sometimes it's you know, I mean, it happens to the best, but I also, to an extent, trust their understanding of the board state. Yeah, no, but equally, yeah, Cohen talking about would have made a different play if Tailwind was still up. I would imagine Tailwind just over was just over. It's very easy to lose track of things like that in a very intense game. So I would lean towards Izzy probably just misremembered there being a turn of Tailwind still up. So if he waits for Parker, I'm gonna crash out. Oh, I can turn the lamp on now that it's getting dimmer outside. I'm just gonna hop in this room and see if they're in the middle of game 2. I can't imagine they're typing as much as they are whilst in game 2. But honestly, I kind of just want to let them figure it out. Somebody's still in game 1? No. We're just gonna hide completed matches and roll the number generator again. Weird Toast versus Cold J. This could be a second to go eat, actually. But we're already getting in here. We're already at endgame. Mega Process, Sneaker Bread, Lycanroc Bask. Lycanroc is chunked. What is Bask? It's Citrus Berry. But Lycanroc is going to need to get a close combat into King Gambit, would be my assumption. But it's going to be tough when it can die to a Sucker Punch. It's a very tense end game. I think Toast has a possibility, but I would rather be in Cole's spot. You Cell Rock into the Protect. Oh wow, looking to just outspeed and get KO'd that way. Kowtow Cleave into the Lycanroc. That might seal this. Yeah, just a forfeit. Fair. Okay. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop actually trying to find a room here. Gonna leave an admin dashboard. I need to eat some food actually, is what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna turn the webcam off because I'm not a big fancy streamer with a nice I'll be back screen. We're just gonna make some text. We're gonna say eating BRB. Got hit by muddy water every time. That is a tragedy. Oh no. Unfortunately, sometimes the RNG is simply what happens. You'd rather it here at a regional is all I'll say, but it certainly happens. It is a very, very unfortunate just part of Pokemon. Let me make this flat. Okay, and I will be right back. I just got my food, so I'm not really back, but I did just sit down to Golden Go Rolls Shadow Ball. It's been into Melodic Astrolith team. That's pretty good. Oh, and also, yeah, no, you're fine. I mean, I don't think it was like any egregiously BM, but I'd say from my perspective, I definitely don't want my opponent commenting on any RNG at all in game. After the set, in like a conversation, can definitely be chill, but in game, you know, personally, I'd rather just be like locked in on the game the whole time. But also, I am gonna eat some food real quick. Hello. Filled up my actual water bottle too. But I'm trying to just finish that since I already grabbed it earlier. Oh, wonderful timing. All of the matches just ended. Oh, I swear, I checked just a second ago and there were still a couple. 14 playing. We rolled 6. Which is Guyman versus Cherry Ballad. We've beaten them to their match, as I also need to ping round 3 is up. Wait, what's up with Penguin? Are they still... wait. I think Penguin is dropping, which is real. But unfortunately, I did not see that before. I paired run 3, which just happens. But for now, we are still waiting for Guyman to check in. But they were messaging WebImpulse very kindly earlier. So hopefully they do show up. They've got about 3 minutes still, I believe. Just waiting and waiting and waiting. I haven't looked at this metagame at all. Very Garchomp heavy, and then some Charizard. I will... go here? Yeah. Yeah. 51% with Garchomp. A lot of Charizard. Pretty safe to assume most are Y. Who did we see with the X earlier, though? There's at least one X in this tournament. Oh yeah, it was Derpichu. At least with one X. Any of these look like X teams? Not really. Yeah, very, very likely just be that one Charizard X. Wims, Gambit, Sneasler. Melodic is really up in our tournament. Is that a meta development or is that it just happens to be like this? It's technically over Basculegion right now, which is kind of crazy. Sinistra, again, I feel like I haven't been playing that much, so I can't tell for sure, but I feel like it's been having a tiny bit of a resurgence. Arrow, T-Tar, Incin for Rig. Raptor is a little bit up, but I think it just performed well in Victory Road, so people want to try it again. Dengo, I feel like, yes, it got a lot of nerfs, but I feel like it's had lower presence than I really expect. Sylveon, lots of Ceruledge, like relatively. Yeah, from the sand that we saw, we didn't see it come out, but we saw him play. Is that a Raichu Y team? Colbert. Pretty interesting team. I like the look of it. Guy Man, who we're hopefully about to watch play. Yo, I love Hydrapple. Hydrapple's so much fun. Any stupid crazy one-offs? Chandelure. We don't have Iljon. Somebody else. Heatwave Shadow Ball substitute. Definitely not bad. If I remember right, Iljon had at least like an energy ball. Had some weird tech. Is this Mega Scolipede? Whoa. Leech Life, Earthquake, Sword Stand, Protect. Interesting. That's another one I would like to go see. Klefki, Barbarical, Armarouge. Yeah, I mean, it does still get Wide Guard to Ally Switch. It hits pretty hard. You can. This was copy pasted from when we had an Indeedee to put next to it. Terror type fire is really funny. I'll make sure Pengu gets dropped. 4 completed though. Did somebody who's 2-0 didn't check in? Somebody who's 1-1. Man, that is weird that there were 4 this round. I'm gonna ping Guyman and try and get him in here. Hope he's typing. Oh yeah, I can pull it back to champion, but just dealing with judge stuff. Whoa! Okay, let's hop in here. They're still getting set up, so we haven't missed anything. It was just slightly delayed, which is not an issue. I'm not gonna say I regret agreeing to do this because this actually has been a ton of fun so far. But I'm just looking at the fact that this is the start of round 3, and I do kind of maybe potentially definitely work at 5 a.m. tomorrow. So I took a nap when I got home from work today, but it'll be fine. I'll get at least like 6 hours of sleep minimum, probably 7. But I would like to get more. But we're fine. This is fun. I can basically sleep when I get back at like 1 tomorrow, and I don't work Wednesday. Yeah, Hydrapple. This is a Calm Mind Floette, Bulk Up Ceruledge, Screen Support from Grimmsnarl, Recover Yawn, Super Sweet Syrup instead of Regenerator. That pairs well with the Hypnosis from Melodic. That's really interesting. And Fake Out and Sword Dance on the Sneasel. Lots of setup on Gaiman's side. Cherry Ballad has a much more conventional Charizard Mega Arrow team. Sash Goldengo, Lord Chomp, Fairy Feather Sylveon, and Farigiraf. So not like necessarily Big 6, but definitely much more on the conventional side. And we opted to go for this Aerodactyl lead. And yeah, just as I called out, the Super Sweet Syrup pairing well with the potential Hypnosis from this Melodic. I don't believe it is 100% accurate Hypnosis yet, but it should be after only 1 coil instead of normally having to press that button twice to get your 100% accurate Hypnosis. What does... Yeah, 0.75. 60. 5.75. Yeah, it turns into 80% Hypnosis, which is a lot better than 60. But with a coil, that would be 100% on those targets, obviously. But that is assuming you don't just get flinched from this Mega Aerodactyl Rock Slide. Oh, crit the Melodic. I did feel like they did a little bit damage. Ooh, I kind of can't help but feel like I jinxed that. Ooh, so between switching out that Hydrapple, which, I mean, it otherwise would have just died to that Hyper Voice from Sylveon, and then getting both crit and flinch there, that was a pretty rough term for Gaiman. I am amazed. I know sheds at work. I'm hesitant to drop all of them. I know Pengu needed to be dropped, but the flinch preventing anything from happening on Arrow. I didn't quite see. I feel like we must have missed our move. Which again, unfortunate start for Gaiman here. Dropped. We set the Tailwind and the Nasty Plot. You are Sash, and Sneasel is not capable of dealing any damage, so you will guarantee live that turn. Respectable, you know, I actually don't know those calcs offhand if you need to have bulk on Arrow to live that. But definitely, you know, even though we did get that Tailwind up, the Aerodactyl is now asleep, so it has at least 1 guaranteed sleep turn here. At +2 special attack, I'd imagine Make It Rain should still pick up this Melodic, but Melodic is a very bulky water type, especially bulky water type. Okay, definitely picks up a Shadow Ball. And yeah, this Golden goes primed to be an issue now. Yeah, we get the Hydrapple back in. Notably, that Super Sweet Syrup ability only activates once per game. It is not like an Intimidate where you can switch it out and switch it back in. Honestly, I don't know if it really would be broken if it worked like an Intimidate, but it would enable a lot more of, you know, these type strategies where you're playing around with these inaccurate moves. An Arrow only getting that one turn sleep, getting half damage on Ceruledge. Like, Make It Rain probably picks it up from this point. Oh! But the flinch again. This Mega Aerodactyl is just not letting Gaiman play this game. This is why we play best of threes, though. Statistically, this can't happen every game. So, if you're Gaiman, the trick here is to not get too in your head about these flinches and just think about your game plan and what you could do for next game. If we did see two different flinches from a Rock Slide from this Aerodactyl. We saw the Hypnosis miss the first time, and then we saw a one-turn sleep. So the RNG was definitely not in Gaiman's favor, which probably makes this matchup look even worse than it is. So very, very interested to see how we might be able to keep our head out. Ooh. Getting the big damage, even though you didn't quite need it to. But that is Fickle Beam. Most often is slightly less damage than Dragon Pulse, but sometimes you can go all out with it, and it is significantly stronger. I think it still comes just below Draco Meteor from memory, but obviously without that special attack drop as well. From this point, I mean, Sneasler can't touch Golden Go, Hydrapple at 29% HP. Not too much to be done here from Gaiman, but this is a moment where definitely I'd say it's optimal to take all the time you can, get any good information you can, such as that Sylveon living that Dire Claw, and just regroup for games 2 and 3. This is definitely a game that I think tests your best of 3 skills. Gaiman is not out of this set just because of some bad RNG in game 1. It's all about keeping that head, adapting, getting good rolls, genuinely, like not forfeiting that game, not being tilted and just forfeiting. Got Gaiman that information that Dire Claw does not guaranteed KO that Sylveon, which can be very relevant information going forward in this set. So I'd say it looks like already off to a decent start in terms of, you know, hopefully not tilting too much from the RNG, but definitely excited to see how we adapt here. I don't even think Hydrapple is like a horrible bring here. It was a pretty unfortunate lead into that Sylveon, and then not being able to get that Super Sweet Syrup ability later. Again, you know, whether Melodic Crest Hypnosis or Coil or whatnot turn 1, getting flinch turn 1 and switching out was pretty rough. Put that one on the back foot immediately. So if game 2 can start on a more even board state, I'm very interested to see what we can do with Hydrapple, Ceruledge, Melodic Floette stuff on that side. So we do see a full switch up of the lead on Gaiman's side. This Grimmsnarl Sneasler would do a lot better than that Sylveon, but also pretty good adaptation from the set side with a Cherry Ballad. to recognize the possibility that they're going to be more prepared for that Sylveon, and therefore lead the Garchomp, which is actually better into this Sneasler on Gaiven's side. Mega Evolution, no surprise there, no particular reason to need to keep that a nerve in this game, at least not compared to that increased speed and attack and Tough Claws that you'll gain right now. Fake Out and Reflect, I would imagine we are going to live this Earthquake with Reflect if we have pressed Fake Out into the Aerodactyl slot knowingly. Wow, wait, was it Sash or was that... Okay, nope, so it was Sash. So I also didn't want to break Sash on the rough skin of the Garchomp going for Fake Out. Super fair there. I see Grimmsnarl take not that much damage, not too much. Definitely a chip that can start to add up. But now Grimmsnarl has the ability to either swing or, you know, go for a parting shot into either slot, continue to slow them down. Already got the Reflect off. You know, either Floette or Ceruledge. Ceruledge might not be ideal, switching into a Rock Slide and Earthquake potentially coming out. Could be Melodic coming in here. This game's really going to be determined by what Gaiman has in the back, but definitely in a much more neutral spot to start to set something up. Oh, no parting shot, which is of note. Might just be going for Play Rough into the Garchomp to KO it, which might tell me something about Pokemon in the back. I'd say pretty likely in my eyes to have that Ceruledge if we're trying to get rid of the Garchomp, which I think is otherwise going to be a little bit awkward for the Ceruledge. Yeah, and then with Reflect, and again with like potential parting shot to put that arrow at -1, get a bulk up. Ceruledge might just be able to absorb some of that initial damage, finish with Shadow Sneak, heal up with Bitter Blade. But we do see the Floette. Honestly, the Floette surprises me only in that we chose to target the Garchomp down as hard as we did. Obviously, with Tailwind set by the Aerodactyl, Garchomp would still be able to outspeed this Floette. Should actually check out the moveset. Earthquake, Rock Slide, Dragon Claw. Yes, it would have taken some decent damage from Earthquake, but it's not like it had a Poison Jab or Iron Head to be threatening the Floette. Light Screen, gonna help resist some of this Fairy Aura boosted Sylveon now. Sylveon is a very nice Pokemon to have when you are facing an opposing Floette. Rock Slide missed that. Grimmsnarl. Didn't do too much to Floette. Light Screen definitely helping that Floette. And gets that Calm Mind up. Okay, so with that boost, we don't have a Draining Kiss though, is my only concern. Is that this Aerodactyl might still just be going a little bit too quick and dealing a little bit too much, even if it's chip damage. Again, might just be too much at this point. Did you see the Ceruledge? That would definitely justify having targeted that Garchomp down the way we did. But I might have liked to see it come in this prior turn and have Floette at full health here. Only because Ceruledge is actually able to heal itself with its Bitter Blade, where Floette is kind of stuck at whatever HP it ends up at. Without speed control, odds are it's taking Rock Slide and Hyper Voice, which again, we saw with the Light Screen, it should live. Then it's about doing enough in return. Misses the Floette, kind of returning some of this Game 1 RNG. Yeah, 30, 33, 34% to the Ceruledge. Through that Rock Slide is actually not bad. Ceruledge, I was going to say, might not take half. Took a little bit over half. Very curious to see Bitter Blade versus the bulk up. The crit on that Mega Arrow. I'm not 100% sure that mattered with the +1 Mega Floette Dazzling Gleam, but it might have. But that flinch from the Ceruledge, again, kind of making up for that Rock Slide miss on the Floette. If we can just double protect on Gaiman's side, though, the Shadow Sneak and Dazzling Gleam might just be enough. I know. I was saying I might have preferred to see that Ceruledge come in before that Floette, but Gaiman might know how to pilot their team better than me. Surprise, surprise. They're very much in this game. It is not free for Gaiman. It is not free for Cherry Ballad. But I can see lines for both them to win from here. It's a very tough spot to be in. Get protect, and assumingly this protect on Ceruledge, just get through this last Tailwind turn. You would love to see a Golden Go protect, but of course. Just gonna swing here. The reason I say you'd love to see one of them just having protected is you'd love to know which side you can just target into. I call it unlikely for both Pokemon on Cherry Ballad side to protect. I don't want to say it'll turn into a call. I think you just have to target the Golden Go down regardless, because Floette, or Sylveon I should say, has Roar, no Hyper Beam. Sylveon is not threatening to pick up either the Floette or the Ceruledge. Okay, Deedling, we don't see Protect from either Pokemon on Cherry Ballad. Did you see the Shadow Ball? I wasn't sure how the speed interaction was going to work out. I believe Golden Go is the naturally faster Pokemon, but depending on if Golden Go runs bulkier, if that Ceruledge ran faster, it very well could have gone the other direction. From this spot, I'd have to imagine it's going to go to Cherry Ballad. Yeah, there's maybe... I don't know if you would have done enough damage with the Shadow Sneak, but there's maybe a world where the Shadow Sneak into Golden Go would have enabled Dazzling Gleam to finish this game up. But scratch that even. But that crit. I'm not sure the crit mattered with Fairy Lure boost, but the quick attack definitely was going to help seal up the endgame regardless. That was a very, very close set. I know that game one didn't look that close, but there was a lot of RNG against Gaiman's side there. So I was very happy to see them keep their head and play game two very competitively. Just a little bit unfortunate how that ended for them. But very well played from both those players. That was a very, very good set, very competitive set. Even though, again, 2-0. But there's a difference between a blowout 2-0 and a 2-0 kept very competitive in my eyes. We got 4 games still going. I'm gonna save looking at any of those 2-0s because they very well could turn into the finals. And I think in round 5, I'm going to try to look at whoever looks like they might just end up winning the tournament, as opposed to using the RNG. But we're gonna tune into Cycrum versus MJ. Probably just MJ. They are in the middle of their game 3, and we shall see what is going on here. Grimmsnarl dead on this Charizard Rain side. Floette, are we set up at all? We must be in Trick Room. Oh wow! Does not quite die to this Twin Beam. Oh, but we still under speed. The Floette, pretty slow and bulky by the looks of it. Oh, Gaiman here, still new. Oh, it looks like chat's disconnected, but... Oh, no, I see it. Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, definitely fair to not know exactly how fast that Golden Go was. It's a pretty tough spot to be in. I don't know if you care at all to go back, or it might have even just had it on in a second. But I was definitely expecting one of them to protect that last turn. But it turned into a weird spot where... Not weird spot, but I'd say part of the way you should try to be thinking about the game is to minimize having to make calls at all. And in my mind, because 2 Dazzling Gleams were going to pick up the Sylveon, and Sylveon was not actually going to be threatening a KO onto either of your Pokemon, save for a crit on the Floette. In my mind, it was probably safer to have always Dazzling Gleamed and Shadow Sneaked the Golden Go. But again, it could have been Dazzling Gleam and Bitter Blade if you outsped. But yeah, again, I'm just trying to think, like, if Golden Go protects, what's the worst case scenario? If Sylveon protects, what's the worst case scenario? And in my mind, Golden Go, or Sylveon protecting and attacking into it is like a much more instant loss than Golden Go protecting and attacking into it, which actually still you have out from that position, I think. So I think it was very well played. I gave you a lot of props for keeping your head after a lot of RNG went against you game 1. But yeah, in that end game, it's kind of tough, but I try to minimize the actual amount of calls I have to make and just see if there's a more consistent line through the game. But it was very well played. Sorry to hear your stomach's upset, Kurt. Having to drop. Make sure... I believe you know how to drop yourself. Yep, you already dropped. But just making sure that I can also do that on my side. I know I saw it at the very end, but I didn't really see that much. But 14 of 14 matches completed. I'm a little concerned about the 3 players who didn't show up to round 3. Let me see. We're just gonna run it. That's the thing, Cycrim, is I wasn't spectating you until the last turn. So that's why I didn't even say anything in the chat. There wasn't much there. And then even then, I ended up just talking to Gaiman about the game that we had spectated most of. So I truly did not see basically anything from that game, unfortunately. And round 4 is live. Oh, actually I didn't press the button. I am a liar, but I am no longer a liar. Yeah, that's how it happens. Yeah, no, I did not end up actually seeing too much. Somebody gets the buy. Terpachi Gaiman. Whoa, we saw both those players on stream. Cyclimbers. Oh man, Izzy went 1-2. Hey, if that tells you anything, Izzy won that Hatterene League tournament. Hatterene something. I don't know if I'm gonna find it that quickly. Oh yes, Hatterene Series. Izzy won that Hatterene Series tournament just yesterday and is 1-2 in our PokePals Smackdown tournament, which I think is a great example that it is a good spot, and we do have a lot of new players still learning best of 3 and just testing things. But it's also it can be a very competitive tournament still. We do have a lot of good players who show up to these. We got 11 matches, and it rolled 6 again. Did we watch We Are Toast, or did I just come in to one of theirs? I don't think we watched them already. I think I might have just tuned in at the end of one of theirs, right? Oh, and it does look like we're gonna have a clean only one person at 5-0 after the end of this, which is honestly my favorite to see, so that nothing ends up going to resistance, which is like not a big deal, but can be a little annoying for sure. Yeah, let's I'll look at that last message real quick. Gonna hop in here, at least get eye candy on the screen. Given Sarah runs oh yeah, no, I can definitely see that thought process. Like I said, I also truly expected one of them to go for protect, because I felt like from their side kind of made the most sense. But yeah, no, definitely. And I'm not even saying my line was maybe necessarily the 100% correct line through, but I definitely would have doubled the Golden Go with the thought process that Sylveon wouldn't actually threaten a KO that turn. Although, as we saw, the Hyper Voice into Quick Attack did KO that Floette, so my line could be wrong. But generally, yeah, just trying to find the best line given all possible outcomes versus having to make a call. Sometimes you have to make a call, though, and that truly is just the game. That's where, you know, I don't know, I might be able to find it. The Aaron trailer video talking about trying to describe competitive Pokemon and being like a mix of chess and poker and just everything else with some RNG elements in there. Sometimes you have to make a call, and that truly is also a part of the game. But minimizing the calls you have to make, minimizing the chances RNG has to influence the game. It's the way the top players consistently perform. Like, even with all the RNG in the game, the top players perform consistently across tournaments. Sometimes even they 5-3, but throughout a whole season, the best players end up on top. Anyway, we're gonna lock into this game now. But yeah, Aaron trailer, competitive Pokemon may be impossible to explain. Phenomenal video. So we have a snow team from We Are Toast side. Yeah, we definitely did not watch them before. Opted for that double protect. Both players very intelligently trying to hold their Mega, trying to hold the speed control. I mean, not weather control. Not trying to just give it to the other one. Withdrawing the base Frostlass, not inherently an incorrect decision. It can be a little awkward since if you want to switch it back in mid-turn, it's not going to activate the Snow Cloak, and it's going to have lower base stats than you might be expecting. As we do see the Charizard Y go for the Mega this turn, which overall I think does make sense. As the slower of the two, if Frostlass had gone for Mega, what would have happened was Snow went up, and then Sun went up, overriding it. We do see that Lycanroc fall asleep, which is maybe not ideal for We Are Toast. Rescue Legion doesn't take too much from the Heat Wave on switch in. So, not looking horrible. This Venusaur does not actually have a Grass type move, but the Charizard does. I'm not 100% sure if Charizard Solar Beam does 70% to the Basket Legion. But even with a Sludge Bomb from Venusaur, I'd imagine that would. But again, we saw the Venusaur. Oh, it also has Wide Lens, making an even more consistent Sleep Powder. Is Sleep Powder 85? So to 93, I think it is. Very, very interesting. With Sash and Arrow. So not dual Mega on this team. Oftentimes you'll see this Aerodactyl be a Mega. I like the concept of the Wide Lens Sleep Powder. Just makes it slightly more consistent, like I was just talking about, trying to, minimize RNG, which Sleep Powder, not necessarily a move that does that. But I've definitely brought Sleep Powder to a regional. Sometimes it just feels optimal. I did it twice last season, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. That's gross. One time I think was justified. The other, I think that team wasn't optimal. But anyways. He sees the Frostlass come back in, so trying to take this weather control back from the Charizard. We unfortunately have had to sacrifice the Lycanroc in front of a Charizard team to get there, but I think we are overall happy with getting the Snow, at least for this turn, and being able to threaten that Charizard slot. The Basculation switch surprises me. I feel like the Venusaur is just going to protect here, and Charizard's going to have the ability to switch back in this next turn. So I was at least expecting to see the Wave Crash go into the King Gambit and chunk it, or however much that would have done. Oh, but we don't see the Protect, but we don't see the KO either from that Blizzard. Either that Venusaur is tanky or the Frostlass is. But either way, it gets that Sleep Powder into Sneasler, who still now needs to take that guaranteed turn of sleep, as Charizard is free to switch back into, frankly, either slot. Sleep Powder could be going into the Frostlass, or it could be a Sucker Punch going to the Frostlass, depending on how you want to play this. But I think We Are Toast has done a decent job of trying to preserve this Frostlass Mega to get that Snow, but Astrid has done equally as good a job preserving this Charizard Mega and then switching it out at the correct turn to not let that Snow stay up. Again, the wide lens on the Sleep Powder is making it a little bit less RNG dependent than it might otherwise be, but it does still have a mischance with wide lens. What is not RNG is the Sneasler Sleep turn. No, that is a guaranteed turn of sleep. Was a Sucker Punch, and actually nothing switched out that turn. Feeling as the Sucker Punch is just going to pick up the Frostlass, which I'm not 100% sure it would as Chople Berry King Gambit, but I think it was still a very respectable play. Chunks at Sneasler. Venusaur, I don't think will die to Aqua Jet. Certainly won't if we get that Sun back up. Trying to see, Basculation is Citrus Berry. Citrus Berry Adamant. I'd say Venusaur might not die to Aqua Jet from this range in Snow. It certainly isn't in Sun. So we just go for the Sucker Punch. And we pick up. I wasn't sure with Citrus if it might be bulky enough to not take the 70%, but again, I don't know my calcs. I have not been dialed in on playing Showdown and doing calcs as some champions has come out, to be honest. And Sneasler, that was, unfortunately, yeah, just staying asleep. That turn it could have woken up. Not that the odds were in their favor quite yet. That was still only a 1 in 3 chance to wake up. But definitely not going to be possible for that Frostlass to reverse sweep in front of the Charizard Y and King Gambit at a minimum. So going to be very interested to see how We Are Toast decide to adapt in this game. They do have that Lycanroc Dusk, which is definitely meant to be a part of their plan into Charizard Y teams, and we saw that get slept and then KO'd before it woke up in this game. So I would imagine that has to be one of their pieces that is most important to be looking at. As for Astrid, if you recognize that Lycanroc is going to be an important piece for them, you might respond by not leading your Sun mode this time. It's very interesting because if one side does not lead their Weather Mega and the other does, you can kind of give over that weather control for at least a couple turns. But as we saw in both games, if both do, I think that still favors Astrid. So with that thought process, maybe you do always lead your Charizard. Again, this is part of the interesting part of best of 3 adaptations. Yeah, I think if I'm Astrid, I might just try to lead this King Gambit with maybe the Aerodactyl and keep my weather in the back. Try to adapt to the potential Lycanroc lead,
and try to protect that King Gambit from that Sneasler with that dual Wimpy on Aerodactyl, assuming that picks up. So we do see that Sneasler Lycanroc adaptation, and we do see the Aerodactyl, but not that King Gambit. So that Lycanroc is looking pretty threatening in front of these two flying types, to be honest. Very curious to see what Asher does from this position. We are toast with a pretty smart adaptation, and it's definitely tough on Asher's side, because even if you work through the thought process of the Lycanroc Sneasler being a smart adaptation, if they don't, and they just want to run back what they did, say, hey, you can miss a sleep powder, I can wake up faster, things will start going in my favor, and you over-adapt, you can also put yourself in a bad spot that way. But we do see the Protect on the Charizard, no Fake Out from Sneasler, a Cell Rock from Lycanroc, and the Dual Wing Beat does not pick up this Sneasler. This is close combat into Aerodactyl. As it is, we are toast. I think has put themselves in a very good spot here. White Herb gets triggered, and you are going to be outspeeding this Venusaur, even if it is going to be Venusaur in Sun here. You're not going to be throwing a ton of damage into them, but you do have that Gunk Shot, so you're going to be doing very non-zero amounts of damage for sure. I would imagine the Sucker Punch is still going to kill the Sneasler from this range, even though it's resisted. 15% HP is not that much. It can give it a very strong Pokemon. But that Charizard did protect last turn. So it's either forced to switch or it's just going to die to Lycanroc. So even if that Sneasler dies, Charizard switches. I like Toast position a lot here. If I had to hop into this game, I would choose Toast side. We do see the Mega from the Charizard Y. As long as Toast didn't over-predict and go for a close combat into this King Gambit, this Charizard is looking mighty dead on my screen. And we don't see an Cell Rock. Oh, I think it's going to be a double close combat. One to break the Chople, and then the second from the Lycanroc. Nope, just a Rock Slide. Smart. Okay. I was getting a little bit ahead of myself. It's Rock Slide, a Cell Rock, and close combat. The Sucker Punch on King Gambit, I have to admit, feels a little bit bold, because if the Lycanroc just goes for a Cell Rock, you're not going to get anything done that turn. That is not what happened, so not a world where you really need to ponder for too long. But at 10% HP, a Cell Rock might pick up Gambit. Again, it's resisted. Gambit has a lot higher attack, or defense, I should say, than Sneasler. But Lycanroc is not a slouch itself. If I'm toast, I'm still hesitant to press the Cell Rock into Gambit. It might pick up, it might not. I could not tell you confidently either way here. Sneasler Protect, okay. Cell Rock into Venusaur, does a respectable amount of damage. Sucker Punch, not going to go off into either slot with that Protect and the Cell Rock. And then finishing up the Lycanroc, which has more than done its job this game, with the amount of damage it did to Arrow and Charizard. You see Frostas come back in, the Venusaur no longer is going to have speed control, and the King Gambit is not going to one-shot with Sucker Punch. Save a crit, but I'm not even sure if it does with a crit. We saw the Blizzard not one-shot the Venusaur last game, which leads me to believe one of, if not both, of this Venusaur and Frostlass are pretty bulky. And if Frostlass is bulky, it is not dying to a Chople Berry Sucker Punch. Yeah, so a crit would have done it. A crit would have done it for sure. But again, definitely not in a KO range. Let's go, Izzy! I know. Izzy, I was using you as a point right before this game started that you were 1-2, and you won that Hatterene series yesterday. Like the PokePals, even though they definitely are a very good spot for like beginner players as well to like learn best of 3 skills and just try new things out. These are still fairly competitive tournaments. Like you're a good example of a strong player who regularly shows up to these, but like you are not the only extremely strong player regularly showing up to these. So it does just help make a great community. So I always love seeing you play in. But we are going into game 3. Oh, you heard? Nice. But yeah, we're going into game 3 here. I think We Are Toast had some very, very good adaptations in that set. And I'm very interested to see how both players respond here. PokePal's power level is too high. I mean, that is kind of fair. Like, I can't lie. I feel like, especially since Champions came out, just because, like, all tournaments have more players from what I've been seeing. There's a lot more engagement in general with the new game, and especially new game that's much more available to everybody, you know, being like a free download and whatnot. Competition has been crazy stiff, for sure. Like, I haven't even been grinding really since Champions came out, although I want to lock in on Parish, learning how to do Parish. I haven't quite gotten there yet. So yeah, I don't know. It's been a couple months since I've actually... Man, it's been a couple months since I've been competitive, I feel like. But anyway. Yeah, I don't know if I've done better than like 3-2 in a little bit. It's tough out here. Anyway, we are going to lock in on this very exciting game 3. So Frostlass Sneasler, we are holding that Lycanroc in the back, as we did in game 1. And this Garchomp and Charizard. This is a very interesting spot. As we saw in game 1, both players are very willing to hold their Mega Evolution, to hold on to this weather control. And if we can keep that Sun up, that Garchomp is at least relatively protected from the Blizzard potential that Frostlass has. Not that it's a 0% accurate move with Sun up, but you don't often want to be launching it in Sun. You'd much rather just wait until you know you actually have this snow control. But I think we're just going to rip it turn 1, regardless of whether this Charizard evolves or not. We just want to go for Blizzard and try and kill this Garchomp. I'm going to Protect from Garchomp, likely followed by Protect on Charizard. Yep. Okay. I don't think it's bad at all from Toast to try to use a habit they might have gleaned from game 1, that they're going to hold the Mega Evolution and try and see if they can't just rip that Blizzard turn 1. But now they may be forced to switch out here. The Sun's going to come up. Could be Heat Wave Earthquake. Nothing really loves to eat that. I think Basculegion might not die to it, but Basculegion is still going to be in a little bit awkward spot, having taken most of its HP from the Heat Wave Earthquake combination. With Citrus, I don't know. It might be at like 60, but again, I haven't been super dialed in on knowing all these counter interactions. Very curious to see how we play it from here. The one thing I do appreciate as a difference from game 1 though, is that even if this Frostlass gets forced out, that means it's able to actually come back in and get Hail on that same turn. Whereas in game 1, it left the field as base Frostlass, so it was very awkward trying to get it back in and get Hail. Or get snow control. Like I said, we do get Sun. It doesn't mean we can't just press the Blizzard here. Oh man. Okay, that is actually crazy work, Izzy. Somebody who's ranked 4 on the rank ladder was participating in one of these. But I guess that's what those players do though. They just play in relatively decent sized limitless tournament, which we certainly have become one, again, since Champions. Like, I think like a 20-30 person tournament was pretty good for us before Champions, if memory served. I think Parker would know the numbers a lot better. But I don't know if we've been seeing below like 40 at start. Like, I think this was a smaller one for us since Champions has come out. And again, it's still a decent sized tournament with some very, very competitive players. But back to this game, we did just see the Heatwave Earthquake combination come out. But again, we just press those blizzards. We just press those blizzards in Sun. Now, I am concerned about this Heatwave coming out of this Charizard and finishing this Frost Blast, but you are at least trading for the Garchomp. Does not pick up the Basculegion. Wave Crash in Sun probably picks up from this point, but Last Respect into Aqua Jet might also. Last Respect itself just might. It does. Very well played from Toast, recognizing they don't actually need that weather control. Yes, it is a lot safer to press a Blizzard inside of snow, but again, Blizzard is not 0% accurate outside of snow. Now, there might be an issue of a Venusaur coming back in and continuing to just be fast until the sun naturally falls off. But for now, being able to get rid of that Charizard and Garchomp while still having a full health Sneasler and whatever this fourth Pokemon still is in the back is not a bad spot for Toast. So it is that Lycanroc, and it is that Venusaur. So just a reminder, this is Wide Lens Sleep Powder. So for as much as Sleep Powder is a pretty... Oh, Sleep Powder is 75. No, I called it 85 earlier. It still makes it above 80. It's above a 4 in 5 chance to be landing these Sleep Powders, which I would imagine are probably most likely going to be targeted into this Lycanroc. Otherwise, a close combat... Oh, but it's Choco Berry. It's not like the close combat's going to one-shot. So for as much as I did like Toast just pressing that Blizzard outside of snow, it is still kind of a tough spot for them, all things considered. Does get a Sucker Punch on a Protect and Aqua Jet, so does not get anything done that turn. And does get a Sleep Powder into the Protect, so that was a great turn to continue stalling out this harsh sunlight. With 2 more turns of this Venusaur having speed control, there's 2 lines of thought with the Sleep Powder on Lycanroc. You could, one, just go for the Accelerock to get some damage this turn, but then you have a guaranteed sleep turn the next turn. Or you could willingly eat this first turn of Sleep Powder sleep right here and hope for a 1 or 2 turn sleep. I think both are pretty valid. We see very likely not that Aqua Jet come out of that Basculegion, as Sucker Punch actually outspeeds to KO. Also no Accelerock from this Lycanroc, so we do just take that guaranteed sleep turn right here, and then next turn, hopefully, if you're from Toast POV, can get that 1 turn sleep wake up. And I was going to say Protect, but you might not even go for the Protect. I think if you fake out this Venusaur, the Kingambit is not threatening the Sneasler with a lot of damage. Yeah, can still go for this Iron Head onto Lycanroc. But does Lycanroc... it does stay asleep. So go for Low Kick, not Iron Head, but... And with that, the Lycanroc is in Sucker Punch range, so Accelerock becomes your safest move. Venusaur does have Protect. Otherwise, Accelerock Gunshot into Venusaur looks pretty nice. Not that it doesn't still look pretty nice, but it could just Protect and Lycanroc could still end up falling this turn. Okay, we do see that Accelerock. Sucker Punch into the Lycanroc fails because increased priority on Accelerock, and Gunk Shot into Venusaur. With 2 close combats available on 2 remaining Pokemon, it is looking very tough for Astrid. It is looking very possible, like Toast kept their head in the set, lost game 1, and adapted well to win game 2 and 3. Gambit, not really known for 1v1ing a Sneasler, especially not with only dark and fighting type moves, resisting all of Sneasler, who's still at 100% HP, even if they get the Sucker Punch on the close combat, but just the Accel Rock. Yeah, this is Chopple, but with the chip damage, the Chopple doesn't matter. Yeah, very well played to Toast. I think Astrid also played that pretty well. It was just phenomenal adaptation from Toast. I'm trying to think what Astrid maybe could have done. Just trying to give some feedback, but I don't think there was any, like egregious misplays. I think that was just a very well played set from both players, and you kind of have to give Toast the flowers for playing a snow team and adapting very, very well throughout the course of that set. I know, I'm trying to give some more actionable feedback potential for Astrid, but again, like, that was just well played from both sides, I'd say. Yeah, I'm offhand, at least, I'm kind of struggling, because I don't think there was anything like so wrong with any decision Astrid made. I think there's an argument to be made in game 3 that if a Blizzard missed either Pokemon, they might have been in a lot better spot as the last respects at only 100 base power. It might, I don't know that rule, might not have picked up. But if it had missed a Garchomp for sure, that is a much different game. So even if the thought process is just, well, they have to hit their 70% accurate move to win the game. Yeah. I don't know, that was very well played from both sides. I've had 4 very, very fun rounds to watch and commentate so far. This has been a very, very good first tournament for me to come watch and host. No major judge issues, some banger sets across the board. Save for the fact that I should be in bed at this point for work tomorrow. This is looking good. Oh man, I'm gonna hate myself tomorrow morning, but it's fine. I agreed to do this, knowing all that. Yeah, there's a difference between knowing it and really comprehending it. I mean, I slept for a little bit before the tournament, but I do need to wake up for work in 6.5 hours, and we still have round 5, so... Oh, that's fine. Just one match remaining. We can... There's a lot of... Uh-oh, I think they have a Toxapex. This might actually be in the middle of game 2 still. And the difference between knowing and comprehending. That is real. But there's also... I think, like, kind of going back to the conversation I was having with... I'm blanking. With Guyman after that last round, where there are times in this game where the job is to have found like the optimal line, and then there's times where the job is to have found the right call in the moment. I think sometimes it can be tough in the moment to recognize whether you are knowing correctly or incorrectly. Like I think that's where like watching your replays back is like more helpful than I can even express. And really recognizing if you're making the right play in the moment or if you were just making a call. And again, sometimes you have to make a call, but it's tough. Watch all this VGC content and it amounts to nothing. No, that's so sad. Oh wait, they said GG's. Is it over? Yeah, I cannot believe this game doesn't have a good replay system. But it must be added in an update eventually. Because I've honestly, for as well as Champions does overall run, I mean, I expected this. I don't know if they're done. They're talking like they're done. Yeah, I can't believe they don't have a replay system. Oh, well. Yep. Yep, okay, so that's why they're saying GG's. Because, yeah, Chanel is 2-0 there. Okay, cool. I know, like, they might not add a replay system anytime soon, but it's just, like, more examples of, like, we used to have replay systems. And that I think all the way to Sun Moon, at least Gen 6, I couldn't tell you confidently. I know Gen 5 obviously had verse recorder. But again, like Gen 4 or 5 had verse recorder. And then we just like lost that eventually. So silly. Okay, that match finished. 12 rounds completed. Yeah, I knew it was handheld. Was it all the way through the 3D era? Cause like I kind of wanted to say so, but I'm not 100% confident. So. Sun Moon was when I started playing VGC, but I was only pretty casually playing, like every once in a while. Last to finish every round. Yeah, that is unfortunate. That was not too much longer than the last player at all. Like I just went to go check in on that last game, and all I saw was the Charizard died a rock slide, which was very funny. But yeah, I think Gen 7 did. Yeah, I wanted to say they did, but I wasn't so confident. Alrighty, I've been doing the random number generator all day, but seeing as we have 2 4-0 players, I am very simply just going to watch those two, because whoever wins this will be 5-0, will be the sole 5-0, I should say, and should just be the winner overall. It is not going to go down to resistance tonight, which is very fun. I think I already watched Chanel 2 earlier, just by luck, which is very fun. Yeah. Did I watch you earlier? Or did I maybe just check in at the end? I might have just checked in at the end. I can't remember at this point in the night, to be so honest. Both of you in chat, very fun. I don't know if it's helpful or not. I mean, I know you're both in the stream, but I just sent it in Limitless as well. I don't know if it's helpful or not to hear me yapping about both your perspectives in like as you're playing. So I mean, it's truly up to you. I don't have any information that you guys won't, but you might just want to mute the stream while I'm commentating your match, to be honest. And even if the yapping is or is not useful later, having games to watch back, again, as I was kind of just talking about, was is very helpful for growth and learning. probably at the end. Quite possibly. Yeah, I think the draft announcement just gonna happen tomorrow at this point. It's not that big a deal. No. Yeah, no, taking the headphones off makes a lot of sense. Oh man. There we go. I think I definitely couldn't focus if I was listening to a peanut gallery behind me, commentating every move I made. Alrighty, and to the surprise of nobody, we have two Charizard Y teams in the functional finals of our tournament. They do have very different looks though. So I will start with 3K5's Kyler in Champions. Charizard Y, pretty standard set, modest, not timid. Paired with the Mega Floette with Lighter Rune, Dazzling Gleam, Moonblast, Cobra Berry, Farigiraf, Roar, Psychic, Helping Hand, and Trick Room. Roar over Imprison as their probably anti-Trick Room. Very interesting. It's also anti setup. Roar is a fun move. Life Orb, Mamoswine, Ice Shard, High Horsepower, Rock Slide instead of an Ice Cold Crash or something. I can respect that. And Protect. Focus Sash, Glamora, Power Gem, Earth Power, Sludge Bomb, and Fairy Feather Whimsicott. With that Eternal Floette, going to be hitting pretty hard. At least, on a Whimsicott scale. With Encore, we've seen a couple Whimsicott on stream, and none with the Encore yet, I don't believe. And then Chanel. I'll start with the Charizard again. Not the perfectly standard set. It's Heat Wave, Weather Ball, Protect, Helping Hand, which I saw somebody talking about this adaptation in a Discord, but I forget the exact reasoning. The Life Orb, Solar Beam, Venusaur with the Charizard Helping Hand, I know picks up something relevant. And then also it's just pretty good, especially with Choice Scarf, Garchomp, and Venusaur. I'd imagine are the main things you're probably helping handing. But equally, you could Helping Hand the Ice Shard on... Or nope, I'm looking at the wrong side. Yeah, probably Garchomp or Venusaur you're Helping Handing most likely. Choice Scarf, Garchomp. Pretty standard, Citrus Berry, Incin. Gets one shot at Mamoswine, that's kind of what that boy does. Focus, Sash, Annihilate. Close Combat, Phantom Force over Rage Fist. Makes sense. Makes enough sense on a Focus Sash set. Rock Tomb for both speed control and probably one-shot the Charizard. Protect. Leftover Toxapex with Infestation, Toxic, Wide Guard, Baneful Bunker, Leftovers. I know it wasn't so locked in on turn 1. Looked like Kyler led their Charizard, switched in the Venusaur to block that fake out from Incineroar. That did just let it get one shot by the High Horsepower as we switched the Charizard in for that Venusaur, and now we have Venusaur Charizard on the field. Thank you, Izzy, my go. That Helping Hand Lorb Venusaur is for the Mega Aerodactyl. That makes sense to me. Think that I knew I saw in some chatter, and server Izzy's also in, about the actual reasoning behind that Life Orb Helping Hand Venusaur. But I just not quite remember. So it was interesting to note that with two Sun teams, one that did lead the Charizard, we did not get Sun on turn 1. So that does mean the Venusaur has an extra turn to do kind of what it wants. Mamoswine Protect, which is pretty fair. I'd imagine that Venusaur kind of wants to hit it with a Solar Beam. But equally, I do wonder how much the Ice Shard might do to it. Oh, but the Solar Beam actually goes into his Farigiraf. Chanel very intelligently, yes, call or not, because I think, the Heat Wave is also just going to pick up the Mamoswine, but is thinking they do not want to let a Trick Room potentially get set up, as they currently have the 2 faster Pokemon out. So even though we did see that Imson get one shot on turn 1, with that Farigiraf dead, if this is not a Whimsicott in the back, looks like Chanel is just going to retain speed control for the moment. Yeah, that is a modest Charizard. Okay, they're both modest, I should note. Gamora is also modest. Gamora is Sash. But Venusaur still has Earth Power and the ability to click Heat Wave, but we're not going to risk that. We are just going to send in our Garchomp. Ice Shard goes into Venu, does a lot of damage. Life Orb Mamoswine is no joke. But what does this Venusaur do? Just the Earth Power. No Solar Beam into the Mamoswine. Interesting. Power Gem into Garchomp. Resisted. I'm trying to reason out that Earth Power into Mamoswine. If they'd switched into Charizard, it would have done nothing. Like, yes, Solar Beam 4 times resisted in that case, but at least that's something. And Solar Beam certainly would have KO'd this Mamoswine, who now is threatening a KO into either Venusaur or Garchomp. Again, I'm trying to find the line that I might be missing. Again, I don't want to knee-jerk call that a misplay, but I think this would look a lot better for Chanel if that had been a Solar Beam into the Mamoswine. Yeah, now Charizard comes back out. I think they're hoping to see a Ice Shard into that slot. The Mamoswine just protects. Waits to see how Chanel is going to respond to that big threat there. Gamora gets put down to Sash, but Gamora still gets to swing here. Oh, and in fact, Venusaur KOs itself with the Life Orb. I had failed to take that into consideration. That continues to justify that Protect on the Mamoswine. As we see the Power Gem go into that Charizard. So yeah, I know Ice Shard is just going to pick up that Garchomp. So pretty fair forfeit. In a best of 3, I talked about this earlier. I think it is very real for Chanel to just have switched the Garchomp in, stalled out as much time they had on that turn, and thought about what they wanted to do for this game 2. There is also a world where they've already reasoned that out. Like, this is not so unconventional of a matchup that they very well might just know what they want to do and just want to get into that next game as fast as they can, which is also valid. But that is just definitely something of note for anybody, maybe just more familiar with ladder play versus best of 3, or just looking for any small tips like that. But definitely taking all the time you can in the game can be extremely important, because it is best practice to end a game, immediately get into the next game, like not really delaying that process at all. So the time you do have to stall is the time you have to stall in a game. And both players locking in their team pretty quickly. So that also leads me to believe they just knew how they wanted to adjust. It did, they lost their Incineroar on that turn 1 for a draft switch, so maybe just try not to fall victim to that this time. But with another adjustment from Kyler, not leading that Mamoswine Charizard this time, is Whimsicott Glamora is threatening big damage into both the Charizard and Incineroar. Now, obviously Incineroar can go for the Fake Out on the Glamora, but again, his Whimsicott could turn into a Fridge-Raff and block that, and even though Glamora would take some damage first, with only Fire-type moves on that Charizard, and with the Sash on Glamora, you're guaranteed going to live something. So we're going to hold on to our Charizard from Chanel, switching the Garchomp on this potential Power Gem. Whimsicott just going to go for the Protect, does not want to potentially take the Fake Out. Or nope, Glamora just goes for Spiky Shield, so just going to stall out the Fake Out that way. Yeah, nope, exactly what Izzy's saying in chat. Doing that in a drawn-out endgame, especially, can be really nice. Like, yes, there's that one turn you get to stall, you know, if we're in that last game, for example. But exactly, versus, you know, Fridge-Raff versus Melodic, you got multiple turns to sit there, use as much time as you need, mental reset, you know, if you're starting to tilt, and, you know, just work on game plan for the next couple games. So using the time you have is a very, very valuable skill that I think can get overlooked in the game, you know, when compared to, oh, just find the right line. But giving yourself the time to find that right line mid-game, mid-set is very, very useful. So we see Chanel not having that Fake Out active anymore, switch that Incin into the Venusaur. That Garchomp just gets a big Stomping Tantrum off into this Glamora. Charizard is itself not going to get poisoned, but that Incineroar most likely going to get poisoned next time it comes in. Although Venusaur takes that Moonblast pretty relatively nicely. It is Fairy Feather Whimsicott, so probably hoping to have done a little bit into that Incineroar. But Venusaur, again, not falling to the double up there. What I will note about Kyler's position, though, is they have had the ability to press Tailwind for multiple turns and have not gone for it. So they're recognizing when they still have the speed control, and they're just delaying this Tailwind. So now they have another 2 turns of Tailwind from what you might have expected if they had just gone for it on turn 1. So great Spiky Shield from that Glamora. Sludge Bomb is going to remove this Whimsicott now, but like I just said, it got the delayed Tailwind up, and Kyler probably feels like they are in a decent position. If they have this Mamoswine, I would say they're in a pretty dominant position. If they don't have Mamoswine, it's still playable, but yeah. This Mamoswine is threatening this Ice Shard into Garchomp. And even though it can switch out into Incineroar, Glamora can just double that slot with the Power Gem. You know it can't protect being Scarfed. And even though that would give the Venusaur the ability to finish off the Glamora, it's not going to finish off the Mamoswine without access to the Solar Beam, as Sun has not gotten set up in this game. So, like I said, Incin coming in poisoned. Not going to actually get the Intimidate drop onto Mamoswine due to the Oblivious ability. Not mattered too much on Glamora. And just a Protect on Venusaur. I mean, I think it's Ice Shard Power Gem into this Incineroar, and I'm getting a little concerned here. Oh man, but the Power Gem goes into the Venusaur slot. Now, Kyler does still have the ability to double protect, but that's burning another turn of his Tailwind that we worked so hard to get delayed. Because we delayed it, we had the 2 turns here, but we're going to lose another one of them to this Sim Fake Out if we feel forced to double protect here. There is also the world where it could just be Stomping Tantrum, or I think you have High Horsepower. Could be the ground move from Mamoswine into the Incineroar, and the Power Gem from Glamora, you know, guaranteeing something goes down. But then we'd have to trade, and we went for a hard call. While not inherently an issue, I think I've talked multiple times on stream already about, like, personally, I think you should try to reduce the amount of times in a game you are actually making a call. But, you know, it might be my own personal play, but I think it's leaning towards the consistency, like playing as consistent as you can. Like I almost always am either going to double protect there or double attack there, and guarantee something is going to get done. Granted, because the attack from Venusaur did go into Glamora, you only took a little bit of chip on Mamoswine, but had that been an Earth Power into the Mamoswine instead, it could be looking a little different. Yeah, Cyclone, exactly. It might seem like a small thing, but if it's a small thing added up multiple times throughout multiple sets, it turns into a lot of games that you very well could have won, or at least had a better game plan that you might not have needed to. Oh, wow. With the Ice Shard into what was the Incineroar, that was either a phenomenal call or a Power Gem was also going to go off into that slot and you were truly just covering the options. That is what I am going to believe in, because a Ice Shard into the Incense slot and a Power Gem into the Incense slot guarantees that any of Incin, Garchomp, or Charizard dies that turn. And so it might look like a call, but assuming that Power Gem was into Incense slot and simply got redirected since the KO occurred, that was actually just covering options. Which, again, like it, as to the discussion just having, you know, in my mind, you're always trying to cover your options appropriately, find the best line, most consistent line, as opposed to having to make calls. But that puts Kyler in a very phenomenal spot here. I'd imagine just double protect here. And this Venusaur has definitely... It has done damage. It is not sat here in waste, but it also has not had its speed control in Sun. It has not had access to its stab grass type move in Solar Beam that it would really like to click to remove this Mamoswine. Okay, fake out into Mamoswine, but yep, Glamora swing. So this is what I was talking about, just making sure something goes down. Critical hit, I don't think 60% health Incineroar is ever living that Power Gem, but the crit is surely letting it know it's not allowed to move. Earth Power, oh, that is a heartbreaker if you are Chanel, living at 1% HP, anywhere between like 1 and 3 actual HP points. With just your Mega Charizard left, this is looking pretty difficult, not going to lie. There is a world where this Charizard can get a Heat Wave and Venusaur protects, and it might be a Charizard Venusaur versus Charizard endgame. But I honestly think we're just going to have to see. Oh, 4 a.m. from Italy. Hey, very happy to see, yeah, more players from all over join these. It's very fun seeing this community grow. Yeah, obviously, I think you know, Parker's always the one screaming and doing the primary like community growing. But myself, having been playing these tournaments for at least 2 years, if not longer, have also seen this community grow a lot. Have a lot of people, have a lot of great players, and help a lot of new people grow with the game. So yeah, very happy to hear somebody from Italy was playing in this. You have a good rest of your night / morning at this point. We do see this Mega Charizard. It takes some chip damage from Ice Shard, which I think is pretty fair. Although I might have expected that to go into the Venusaur. Venusaur Earth Power is blocked by the Spiky Shield, as is this Charizard's Heat Wave. Now the question is basically which Mega we have. Probably not that Venusaur at this point, or probably not the Fridge Ref at that point. But with Mega Charizard, Mega Charizard Glamora versus chipped Charizard and Venusaur. Pretty tough. Wait, do we have multiple Italy players? Somebody... Wait. Roxy was talking about being 4 a.m. Yeah, Vino only one hit at life orb, you're right. That's right, I wasn't sure if they... No, there's not faster. Yeah. Wait, the heat wave does Kyler not have weather ball? Yeah, Kyler has weather ball. That should have always been a weather ball, but the heat wave connected, so the damage difference is not that big a deal. But you were opening yourself up to that 10% miss chance, and we did know that Venusaur only had one particular life orb. So you did not necessarily have to worry about that spread move. But yeah, the weather ball just seals it up. Very well done. Honestly, I have been so just locked in on the turn to turn, and then the conversation happening in chat. I can't even tell you if this is 1-1 or if that was a 2-0. I honestly think both players played pretty well. It's been... Let's go. Okay, I can't even lie. I could not tell you if that was a 1-1 or 2-0. Yeah, I'm also pretty cooked at this point. Okay, it sounds like it was 2-0. Yeah, oh yeah, Kyler went 2 in a row. Okay, cool. No, you do not suck. I've been blessed with 5 very good sets to watch. That was on lead. I mean, that might be worth going back and watching. I know that game 1, turn 1 was pretty unfortunate. In that, like, the Fridra switched in, and then Innocent just gets one shot. Game 2. Yeah, the game 2. Yeah, the lead were pretty rough for you both games. But I would say you fought back pretty valiantly in that I don't think it was completely lost on lead. But you were definitely on the back foot for both leads. I can give you that much. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, the lead call's definitely tough. That is sometimes just how it goes, unfortunately. Oh, is it already reported? Oh, it's just not going through on my side. Oh, there we go. Okay, I reported it for you guys. Nice, first regional in September. I know the schedule's out. I need to put in the time off request for work, but forget, is Baltimore the September one? Because I think my plan... Oh my god, I'm shaking my desk. I think my plan right now is to do Milwaukee for sure, NAIC for sure, Louisville is like October, I think, right? That was the one. All good. I was watching it, just reported it. September winning Frankfurt. I believe. Yeah, Baltimore, September. That is nice. Okay. Cole J, Cherry Ballad. They reported game 2 at 10:15. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna tune in there. It's gonna be too much for me mentally. Yeah, Milwaukee and NAIC. Easy W for me. I'm hoping to do Louisville. Seemed like the other pretty reasonable one. And then I would love to see like a late announcement of like a Toronto or an Indy, and then I might be able to justify going to 4. Yeah, no, Chicago's so good. I have 2 different friends who live in Chicago that I can try and crash with. Like Chicago NAIC is so peak. But yeah, my girlfriend went to school in Wisconsin, so she wants to go to Milwaukee with me and also see some of her friends, so that is a big W. And then Louisville I'm gonna probably try to go to, but I'm definitely not trying to max out my regionals this year the way I did last year. And then I think the 2027 season is going to be the year of the barber. Is what we're going to be saying around these parts. Hey, Cycrum, so that's the thing too, is, I mean, when I started playing, I didn't know anybody I could stay with for regionals. And then in just going to locals, I like met and like talked to Parker enough times. Then it was Indianapolis 2024. I was just messaging around looking for people to stay with, and I ended up staying with Parker and friends. And then, playing in these tournaments and staying with him at regionals, and now we're all the way here where I'm hosting this for him when he has a night off, and I've gone to multiple regionals with him. So in my mind, it's just about going to locals and continuing to, yeah, that can be tough. I can feel that. I'm pretty lucky being in the east side of Michigan, has a lot of locals. Even the west side struggles a little bit more with locals. But yes, locals are like the more easy one. But even if you can find some groups of online people that you can trust, that's where it gets harder. I'd say online, even though Pokemon Space I'd say is pretty good. Still, trusting people online and then meeting up with them in person, staying in the same spot might feel sketch, which is pretty fair. But yeah, no, Pokemon is so good at bringing people together. I think it's a phenomenal community. Both online, in person, always been a huge W. But yeah, no, like I said, I just met a bunch of Michigan people at locals, ended up staying with them at regionals, and just going from there. I don't know. You know what? I will join if just to have it on the background, but I'm not gonna lock in and commentate that one. Oh man, guys, I work in 6.5 hours, which is super cool. I'm not that worried about it, but I'm not doing myself any favors tonight. But this has been fun. I don't regret that at all. Oh yeah, no, that guy's just insane in the game and likes to watch on. I love the Top Cut bot in the PokePals Smackdown server. If they hadn't just said something, all I was gonna do was type out Top Cut and just let the bot do the explaining. It's a W. Oh yeah, no, it's Cycrum. Commenting on what you were saying in the Discord. 3-2 in this tournament, like we were saying earlier, is still pretty good. Like we end up with some crazy people. I think Izzy ended 3-2, didn't she? And won the Hatterene tournament yesterday. Yeah, no, Izzy's 3-2. Like I feel like I've ended 3-2 like the last couple of times I've played, if not worse. 'Cause I've dropped early a couple of times. But yeah, I genuinely love these tournaments so much because it's a great community for, like, I genuinely believe, like, a great community for, like, newer players to ask a lot of questions, learn best of 3 stuff, and it's just good vibes all across the board. But we got real hitters playing in these tournaments. Like, these are not easy by any means either. It is a very, very real mix of new to intermediate and veteran phenomenal players. This game looks like it's almost done. Nice. Yeah, just started with champions. That's very cool. I will say, yeah, very good community. I know, I think the Pokemon community in general is very good, but I especially do love this PokePals community that Parker and co have helped cultivate. Yeah, no, there's a lot of players who started with champions that I'm very impressed with how fast they picked up the game. Like my girlfriend is not like S tier at the game by any means, but for having started with champions, she's gotten herself to Master Ball without my help the last 2 seasons, which I've been very impressed with. And it's funny, there are a lot of small things like pressing Prankster Encore onto a Dark type that she'll do every once in a while, but largely she's like understands the gameplay pattern and like the way to trade down, and it has gotten a bit better at best of threes even. So people like locking in even harder, like I'm not surprised you're able to like pick up tournaments this early. It's very impressive though. Yeah, I didn't know about Jarvis Johnson actually. I don't like watch a lot of their stuff, but I've watched most of those Fuslie vlogs. I talked to her very briefly at Houston, just in between, like around 4 or 5. She was very cool. I just told her, I think what she's doing is dope, exactly, because getting more eyes on the scene is awesome. No, exactly. There's so many niche interactions in Pokemon that are so difficult to keep track of. Like I'm not like flaming her for pressing Prankster on her Dark type. It's just, you know, an example of like, I am very impressed with how well she's doing relative to when she started, but there's just little things like that come up. Elevated recently after that Wolf Invitational. Nice. Okay, and I believe that was it. We are ending this tournament, and if it'll bring me to standings, here we go. Yeah, 3K5 with apparently their first tournament win. I believe I saw you in the Discord, right? I think, yeah, you're in there. I think I can do this Hall of Fame stuff. I'll get there. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like stuff like priority, it's like even relatively easier to explain. Like the secondary effects that all the types have, like the dark being immune to prankster, grass being immune to powder moves, like so on and so forth, it starts getting pretty niche, and there's even more niche stuff like that. Only Mammothwine in the tournament. Very hype. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like Wolf also used at NAIC, which put even more of a like spotlight on it. Same with Toxapex. But I've always felt like Mammothwine was getting a little slept on, like since Champions came out. Like Garchomp obviously does a lot and is a bit faster, but it's the same attack stat. And as an ice type, like it can hit the Garchomps. Like I love Mammothwine. Eighth place and 15th place at the same. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, sometimes that also just happens because especially too as people start dropping at the end of the night sometimes, and unfortunately most people do, but some people end up leaving without dropping, which can give a couple buy rounds. Things definitely start to normalize towards more 3-2s than any other ranking. So yeah, 2 of them sneaking into top 8 versus the lowest being 15th is very funny. Okay. Yeah, I just sent an announcement. I'm gonna get to the VGC Hall of Fame thing in just a moment and actually give the tag to 3K5. But yeah, thanks everybody who's here. This was a great time. Not that I was like expecting anything less, but I think I enjoyed this even more than I really thought I would, which was very cool. But I definitely need to go to bed like an hour ago. So we are going to end stream and make me not hate work tomorrow nearly as bad. So